You know what's wild? I want you to think about two people right now. Picture them clearly. Same office, same team, same manager, same day they both walked through that door 3 years ago. The first one, let's call her Priya. Priya is the kind of person who treats every task like it's the most important thing she's ever been handed. She catches errors before anyone notices them. She fixes problems at 10 p.m. so the morning goes smoothly. She never complains, never makes excuses, and her work is honestly beautiful. Clean, thorough, exactly what was asked for, and then some. The second one, let's call him Daniel. Daniel is solid. Not flashy, not a genius, just solid. But every single Monday morning, Daniel sends his manager a 3-line message. What he finished last week, what he's moving on to, one thing on his radar. Every Monday, without fail. Daniel asks questions in team meetings. Not clever questions, just real ones. Daniel stops by a colleague's desk once in a while and says, "Hey, how's that project going? Need anything?" 3 years pass. A senior role opens up internally. The manager thinks for about 4 minutes, picks Daniel. Priya finds out through a Slack announcement. She stares at her screen. She doesn't say anything. She just quietly starts updating her resume that night. And here's what breaks my heart about that story. Priya did nothing wrong. Not a single thing. She was excellent. But excellence on its own, in most workplaces, is not the whole game. And nobody told her that. Hey, I'm Liza, and today we are going to talk about something most career advice completely skips over, or dances around so politely that it loses all its teeth. We're talking about the invisible rules of the workplace, the second scoreboard, the game that's running in the background of every office, every team, every organization, whether you know about it or not. And I want to be really clear with you up front. This is not about becoming someone fake. This is not about learning to smile at people you can't stand or saying the right things to the right people at the right party. This is about understanding how decisions are actually made about your career so that you stop being surprised when they don't go your way. Let's start here. When you got hired, someone handed you a rule book. Written or unwritten, it said something like, be on time, do quality work, meet your targets, be professional, communicate when there's a problem. And that rulebook is real. Everything in it matters. But it is about half the picture. The half nobody hands you says this: being good at your job gets you in the room. Being known gets you the seat at the table. Those are two completely different things, and most people spend their entire careers only working on the first one. Here's how your manager actually experiences your work. And I need you to really sit with this because it changed how I see everything. Your manager is not reviewing a spreadsheet of your contributions at the end of every quarter. They are holding a feeling, a general, somewhat emotional, human feeling about whether you are reliable, whether you are growing, whether investing in you feels worth it. That feeling gets built from small moments scattered over months. A comment you made in a meeting, the time you stayed late without being asked, the update you sent or didn't send, the moment you helped someone when it cost you something. These fragments stack up into a story, and that story is what your career is actually running on. So if you are working incredibly hard and nothing is moving for you, I want you to hear me say this directly to you. It is probably not a talent problem. It is almost certainly a visibility problem. And visibility is fixable.
Now, let's talk about something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Credit. How it moves, who gets it, why it doesn't always go where it belongs. Here's what actually happens in most workplaces. You do the research. You do the late nights. You solve the problem that almost blew up the whole project. Then there's a presentation. Someone else runs the room, answers the questions, gets the nods from leadership. And 3 months later, when a new opportunity comes up, leadership thinks of that person first. It feels like theft. I understand why it feels that way. But what actually happened is simpler and more fixable than theft. Credit didn't flow to the person who did the most work. Credit flowed to the person who communicated the work. That's the system. You can be furious about it, and honestly, some days I am. But being right about the unfairness of it doesn't protect your career. Understanding it does. Let me talk about relationships now, because this is where I lose people sometimes. When I say relationships at work matter, I don't mean you need to become a social butterfly. I don't mean you need to go to every after-work event or laugh at jokes you don't find funny or pretend to be interested in conversations that bore you to tears. That's exhausting, and it's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is being known. Just known. As a human being, not just a task-completing machine.
Because here's the truth about how opportunities get assigned. When your manager is thinking about who to put on something important, something with visibility, something that could move someone's career, they don't run an analysis. They think of a person, and they think of someone they trust. And trust is built slowly, through small moments, over time. It's built when you ask a genuine question, when you help someone without being asked, when you're honest about something going wrong instead of hiding it, when you show up for a teammate even when there's nothing in it for you. You don't need to build relationships with everyone. Honestly, pick 4 people in your workplace that you actually respect. Be real with them. Help them when you can. Let them help you when you need it. That's not networking. That's just not being a stranger. Now, here's the one that I think is the most underestimated factor in anyone's career: timing. You can have the right idea, the right track record, the right relationships, and still get a no if the moment is wrong. If you walk into your manager's office asking for a raise the same week the company announces it's cutting costs, the answer is no before you finish your sentence. Not because you don't deserve it, because the moment is completely wrong. And here's the other side of timing that's almost unfair to say out loud. Being close to success matters more than most people want to admit. If you're on a project that wins big, you get some of that shine, even if your role was small. If you're attached to something that fails, you carry some of that weight, even if the failure had absolutely nothing to do with your decisions. We are wired to remember associations, and associations create opportunities, or close them. So, what do you actually do with all of this? I'm going to give you 4 things. Simple, real, no performance required. First, stop waiting to be discovered. I know that's hard to hear if you've been grinding quietly and hoping someone notices. But no one is coming to find your excellent invisible work and reward it without any signal from you. Your manager is juggling 15 things. Your output doesn't automatically translate into a story about your value. So give them the story. Send a short update once a week. What you worked on, what's coming next, anything you need. 3 lines. That's it. Second, build real relationships with 4 people. Not a network, not a strategy, just 4 actual humans in your workplace that you talk to like a real person. Help them. Let them help you. Show up in small ways. You will be amazed at what that does for how you're perceived, without you ever having to say a single word about yourself. Third, learn how decisions actually get made in your organization. Who really has influence? Who does leadership listen to? Who's in the room when opportunities get handed out? This is not manipulation. This is not politics in the ugly sense. This is just choosing not to be naive about how your specific workplace actually functions. Because if you want something to change for you, a promotion, a raise, a better project, a new opportunity, You need to understand who can move that needle and make sure they understand your value. Fourth, read the room before you make any important move. Before you ask for something significant, take a real look at the moment you're standing in. Is the company expanding or tightening? Is your manager in problem-solving mode or planning mode? Is this a season of yes or a season of survival? The same request in the right moment gets a yes. In the wrong moment, it never even registers. Learn the rhythm of your environment and move with it. Here's what I want to leave you with. If you've ever been passed over for someone you know you outworked, and I know some of you are feeling that right now, that quiet, heavy, exhausting feeling of I gave so much and it didn't matter. I want to say this directly to you. You were not passed over because you weren't good enough. You were evaluated on a scoreboard you didn't know existed. You played the best game you could with an incomplete rulebook. That is not a personal failure. That is an information gap. And now, you have the information. So the question stops being whether the system is fair. It's not. And in a lot of ways, it probably never will be perfectly fair. The question becomes, now that you understand how it actually works, what small, honest adjustments are you willing to make? Priya had everything she needed to win. The talent was never the missing piece. The visibility was. You have the talent. Now go make sure the right people can actually see it. I'm Liza. Drop in the comments and tell me, have you ever been in Priya's position? What happened? I read every single one. And if someone in your life is grinding hard and getting overlooked, send this to them today. Sometimes the only thing missing is the rulebook nobody handed them.